My brother kicked me out of my childhood home 2 days after our parents' funeral. He stood there in his $1,000 suit, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "Sons inherit everything. Daughters get nothing." What he didn't know. Our mother had spent 8 years making sure he'd regret those words. My name is Charlotte Beaumont, and this is the story of how a worthless daughter ended up with everything while her golden boy brother collapsed on the floor of a lawyer's office. Let me take you back. Growing up in the Beaumont family meant understanding one simple rule: boys mattered, girls didn't. My father never said it out loud. He didn't have to. When my brother Max graduated college, Dad paid for his business degree at UConn. When Max wanted to get into real estate, Dad connected him with every contractor he knew. When I wanted to go to nursing school, Dad said, "Girls don't need expensive educations. You'll get married anyway." I got scholarships. I worked double shifts at a diner. I paid my own way. 8 years ago, Mom pulled me aside after another dinner where Dad praised Max's first big sale while barely acknowledging my nursing school acceptance. "I've taken care of you," she whispered, squeezing my hand. "You won't understand now, but I have." I thought it was just something mothers say. I had no idea she'd spent that afternoon with a lawyer, signing papers that would change everything. 2 years ago, Mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. I moved back home within a week. I requested night shifts so I could be with her during the day. Chemotherapy appointments, radiation sessions, the slow deterioration. My paycheck dropped 20%, but I didn't care. Max visited 3 times in 2 years. 3. Each visit lasted less than an hour. He'd sweep in wearing designer suits, kiss Mom's forehead, check his watch, and leave. His wife Naomi came once and spent the entire time photographing the house while barely looking at Mom. Mom started meeting with someone monthly. A lawyer, she said, for insurance paperwork. I'd drive her to Hartford, wait in the car, drive her home. She always seemed lighter afterward. "You're such a good girl," she told me one night. "Whatever happens, Charlotte, remember that you did everything right. You showed up. That matters more than anyone knows." I thought she was talking about the cancer. She wasn't. Max and Naomi lived in Greenwich in a 5-bedroom house where the mailboxes probably cost more than my car. At Thanksgiving 2 years ago, Naomi looked at me and said, "Have you ever thought about doing something with more upward mobility? You can't wipe old people's bottoms forever." Later that night, I heard Max and Naomi in the hallway. "Don't worry about her," Max said. "Dad's already promised everything to me. She's not getting anything. She's just here to play nurse until Mom's gone." "Good," Naomi whispered. "We need this, Max. We really need this." I stood frozen behind the kitchen door. The desperation in Naomi's voice didn't match the Greenwich lifestyle, the designer clothes. 6 weeks ago, Mom was declared cancer-free. We went out for lunch, and she ordered champagne for the first time since her diagnosis. "I want to visit my mother," she said, meaning Grandma Irene. 4 weeks ago, they finally went. They never came back. A truck driver fell asleep on I-95. The police said it was instant. I was working when I got the call. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember driving home. I remember the smell of Mom's lavender garden at 3 in the morning, thinking she would never tend it again. The funeral was 4 days later. Max gave the eulogy. He talked about Dad for 7 minutes. He mentioned Mom's name twice. Before the reception ended, Max pulled me aside. "We need to talk about the house. You need to clear out your things by the end of the week," Max said. We were standing in the church vestibule. "The house is mine now. Dad made that clear years ago." "Max, we haven't even read the will yet. The will is just a formality. You know how Dad felt. Sons inherit. You should be grateful I'm giving you a week." "Max, I took care of Mom for 2 years while I built something? While I made something of myself?" His eyes went hard. "Don't pretend wiping bedpans is the same as running a business. We both know what you are. 1 week. Then I'm changing the locks." That was Monday. He didn't even wait. Wednesday evening, I came home from work. My key didn't work. He'd changed the locks. My things had been thrown into cardboard boxes in the garage. Rain had soaked through 2 of them. My nursing diploma was warped and wet. Through the window, I could see Naomi with a glass of wine. She saw me watching, smiled, lifted her glass in a toast, and walked away. I called Max. "The house is legally mine," he said. "I had my lawyer verify it. You have 24 hours to get your stuff off the property." "Max, I grew up there. And now you don't live there anymore. Maybe if you'd made something of yourself, you wouldn't be standing in the rain right now." I sat down on wet grass next to boxes of my ruined belongings and held Mom's Timex watch, the one thing that hadn't been damaged. That's when I found the letter. It was in a box of Mom's things. A cream-colored envelope with my name in her handwriting. "For Charlotte, when the time comes." I called Melissa Cooper, the head nurse at Maplewood. She arrived within 30 minutes. "Get in. You're staying with me as long as you need." Later, I opened Mom's letter. Her handwriting was shaky from chemo. "My darling Charlotte, if you're reading this, then what I feared has happened. Your father and your brother have shown you exactly who they are. I want you to know, I saw it. I always saw it. I couldn't change your father. But I could protect you. Contact Sarah Winters at Winters and Associates in Hartford. She has everything you need. You are not a burden. You never were. You are the best thing I ever did. I love you more than lavender and sunshine. Mom." I called the number she'd written. Sarah Winters's office was in downtown Hartford. I felt underdressed in my scrubs, but her assistant smiled and led me to a corner office. Sarah was late 50s, silver hair, warm eyes. "Charlotte," she said. "I've been waiting for your call. Your mother spoke about you constantly. She left me a letter. She said you had papers. Your mother and I worked together for 8 years. She knew your father's intentions. She knew Max would inherit everything Arthur controlled. She couldn't change that. But she could plan around it." "What does that mean?" "It means your mother made arrangements that exist entirely outside your father's estate. Arrangements that Max doesn't know about." "What kind of arrangements?" "The kind you'll learn about at the formal reading next week." She paused. "But I want you to trust me until then. Whatever Max says, whatever he threatens, don't react. Don't sign anything. Just wait." "Why?" "Because your mother is about to have the last word." 3 days before the will reading, Max called at 10 at night. "Charlotte." His voice was friendly. "I've been thinking. This situation, it's not good for anyone. I've drawn up an agreement. You sign away any claim to the estate, and I give you $10,000 cash. $10,000. For 2 years of caring for our mother while he visited 3 times. No. Be reasonable. You're not going to win anything in probate. Take the money. Start over." "No, Max. I'll see you at the will reading." His voice hardened. "You're making a mistake. You're going to walk out with nothing, and you'll wish you'd taken this offer. Then that's my choice to make. I did exactly what Sarah told me. I waited." The will reading was at 2 on a Thursday. 6 of us were there: Max, Naomi, me, Sarah, her assistant, and to Max's surprise, my grandmother Irene. "I didn't know you were coming," Max said. Grandma was 82 and sharp as ever. "I was asked to be here. By my daughter." Sarah began. "Before we start, we'll be reading 2 wills today. Arthur Beaumont's will and Clara Beaumont's will. Separate documents with separate provisions." 2 wills? Naomi frowned. Everything was jointly owned. Not everything, as it turns out. Grandma's hand found mine under the table. Dad's will was exactly what Max expected. To Max, 70% of personal assets. To me, 30% of remaining assets. After debts, so basically nothing, Naomi murmured. Dad's accounts totaled about $80,000, Max said. "You'll get maybe $24,000, Charlotte." That's more than I expected Dad to leave you, honestly. Actually, Sarah said, there's quite a bit left to discuss. Arthur's will represents only a portion of your parents' combined estate. Max's confidence flickered. What do you mean? Your mother's estate is separate and significantly larger than your father's. The room went still. Mom didn't have her own estate, Max said. She was a housewife. Everything came from Dad. That's not accurate. Max stood up. Whatever little savings account Mom had, it doesn't change anything. Dad made his wishes clear for decades. The son inherits. The daughter takes what she's given. He turned to me. This is what I was trying to spare you. This embarrassment. You're hoping Mom left you her jewelry? Her recipe cards? The house is still Dad's. The real money is still Dad's. And you're still the same person you've always been. Mr. Beaumont. Sarah's voice cut through. Sit down. Max actually obeyed. This is a legal proceeding, not a family argument. Your mother's will contain specific provisions that supersede your assumptions. If you interrupt again, I will ask you to leave. Sarah picked up the second folder. The first item is a letter Mrs. Beaumont requested I read aloud. 18 months ago, Max said. Mom was in chemo. Her judgment was compromised. I have Dr. Carter's written evaluation confirming your mother's full cognitive capacity. I also have video documentation of the signing. Your mother recorded herself explaining every decision. The video is 32 minutes long. Naomi stared at the USB drive. Your mother was thorough, Sarah said. Now, the letter. To my children. If you are hearing this, I am gone. I love you both, but love does not make me blind. Max went still. For 35 years, I watched your father favor Max. It was simply how he saw the world. Sons matter. Daughters serve. I couldn't change him. When Charlotte was born, Arthur said, maybe next time we'll have another boy. I held my daughter and promised her she would never be next time to me. I watched her work twice as hard for half the acknowledgement. I watched her pay her own way through nursing school while Max received every advantage. I watched her come home to care for me, changing my sheets when I was too sick to move, holding my hand during chemotherapy. Max visited 3 times in 2 years. Naomi made a strangled sound. I do not write this to condemn my son. I write it to explain my choices. The assets I leave to Charlotte are not a reward. They are the balance I could not provide while alive. They are what she was always owed. If Max feels angry, I understand. But I ask him to consider, why does he feel entitled to everything? Who taught him that? What did he do to earn it other than being born male? Charlotte, my darling girl, you are never a burden. You are my heart. Live well, be happy. With all my love, Mom. Silence. Grandma pressed a tissue into my hand. Now, Sarah said, let's discuss what your mother left you. First, the house. The house is part of Dad's estate, Max said. Actually, it wasn't. Sarah slid a document across. 5 years ago, the property was transferred to Clara Beaumont's sole name. What? Why would Dad agree? Liability protection. Your father faced a lawsuit. Moving the house into your mother's name protected it. The deed transfer remained. She produced another document. The property, valued at approximately $650,000, belonged solely to your mother. Naomi's face went pale. Your mother had full authority to leave it to whomever she chose. And she chose you, Charlotte. No, Max shook his head. This has to be a mistake. Your father believed what he wanted to believe, Grandma said sharply. Clara told him the transfer was temporary. She never transferred it back, and he never checked. The house was mine. It had been mine the whole time. Additionally, Sarah continued, there's the irrevocable trust. The what? 8 years ago, your mother established an irrevocable trust with Charlotte as sole beneficiary. It exists entirely outside the probate process. Max turned to Grandma. You gave her the money. I gave my daughter money that was mine to give. The trust was funded with a $400,000 gift from Mrs. Reynolds, Sarah confirmed. Your mother invested it in index funds. The current value is approximately $1.2 million. Naomi made a sound like she'd been punched. And because the trust is irrevocable and funded entirely with your grandmother's gift, it was never part of your parents' estate. It has always belonged to Charlotte. My mother had quietly built me a fortune. This is fraud, Max said. Dad didn't know. Your father's knowledge is irrelevant. The trust was legally established with funds that were never his. He had no claim. Neither do you. There is one final asset. Your mother held a life insurance policy with Guardian Life valued at $500,000. The beneficiary is Charlotte Lynn Beaumont. She purchased it 12 years ago. She paid premiums from money your grandmother sent as gifts. Your father was never a beneficiary. But I'm her son, Max said desperately. I'm her firstborn. She can't just leave me nothing. She didn't leave you nothing. You receive her personal effects, photograph albums, jewelry collection, and a letter she wrote for you. She leaves Charlotte millions, and I get a letter? What you earned, I said quietly. You visited Mom 3 times in 2 years. You told me I was a burden while I held her hand through chemo. What exactly did you earn? He stared at me. Let's discuss the total, Sarah said. From her mother's estate, the property, $650,000. From the trust, $1,200,000. From life insurance, $500,000. From her father's estate, $24,000. The total is approximately $2,374,000. Max gripped the table edge, face pale. He tried to stand, and then his eyes rolled back and he crumpled. His head caught the table on the way down. Naomi screamed. He's breathing, Sarah's assistant said. Pulse is steady, probably just fainted. The paramedics said it was syncope, shock-induced. 20 minutes later, Max was back in his chair, pale and shaking. You knew, he said hoarsely. You knew about all of this. I didn't. Not until a few days ago. I knew Mom loved me. That's all I knew for certain. His laugh was bitter. And I didn't. She didn't love me. I think she loved who you could have been. But she also saw who you chose to become. Max, we should go, Naomi said. Charlotte, you have to help me. We're family. Family. 3 visits in 2 years. Enjoy being homeless. Max, you kicked me out before our mother's flowers had wilted. You told me I was a burden. You tried to get me to sign away everything for $10,000. I'm not going to pretend that didn't happen. You have to understand, Max said. I was stressed. The investments, the pressure. I didn't mean half of what I said. Then who are you, Max? Because I've known you for 28 years, and I've never seen evidence of anyone different. I'm not going to let my brother become homeless. I'm not cruel, but I'm also not going to bail you out while you treated me like I was worthless. What you get is exactly what you earned, the consequences of your choices. I picked up my bag. Mom loved you, but she loved me enough to protect me from you. That's the difference. Grandma followed me to the hallway. I have something for you. She withdrew a velvet box. Your mother wanted you to have this. Inside was her sapphire ring. Grandma, I can't. I gave it to your mother on her wedding day. She gave it back when she was dying, so I could give it to you. I slid it on. It fit perfectly. There's something else, Grandma said. Clara wanted to leave your father years ago. But then she got pregnant with Max, and she stayed. She made the best of it, but she always regretted she couldn't give you a different childhood. The trust, the insurance, it was her way of giving you the freedom she never had. 1 month later, I met with a financial advisor Sarah recommended. Here's my recommendation. Keep the trust invested. Draw only what you need. Life insurance goes into high-yield savings. Pay off your student loans immediately, about $42,000. And keep working. Keep working? You love your job. Money shouldn't change who you are. It should give you options. So that's what I did. I paid off my loans, 6 years of debt, gone. I kept my position at Maplewood, switched to day shifts. I wasn't ready to live in the house. Not yet. But I wasn't ready to sell it either. Rent it, Melissa suggested. Let it pay for itself while you figure things out. 3 months after the reading, Grandma called. Max had to sell the Greenwich house. Naomi filed for divorce last week. Is he okay? He's living in an apartment in Bridgeport. Still working, but not at his old firm. I didn't wish him harm. I just felt tired. Did Mom know about the debts? She suspected. That's partly why she did what she did. She knew if there was money available, Max would take it. Not because he's evil, but because he was raised to believe he was owed it. I thought about my brother alone in a Bridgeport apartment. I didn't know where the boy who used to chase me around the backyard had gone, but I knew I couldn't save him. I'm going to the house this weekend. First time since everything. Do you want company? Yeah. I think I do. The lavender garden had survived winter. Some plants had gone brown, but new green shoots pushed through the soil. She planted this the year you were born, Grandma said. Lavender for protection, for purification. She wanted good things to grow around you. Inside, Mom's things were still there. Recipe cards, reading glasses, her robe. On her nightstand was a small album I'd never seen. Photographs of me from infancy to adulthood. On the first page, in her handwriting, for my bravest girl. She spent weeks putting that together during chemo, Grandma said. She said it was her way of counting the good things. I held the album to my chest and finally let myself cry. Not grief this time. Gratitude. 6 months later, I enrolled in a nurse practitioner program. Something I'd wanted for years but couldn't afford. Now I could. I kept working part-time at Maplewood. Melissa and I found an apartment together. I started growing lavender on the balcony. Grandma called every Sunday with stories about Mom before she met Dad. I recorded the calls, building an archive of the mother I was still getting to know. The house on Maple Drive? I rented it to a young family, a nurse from Maplewood, her husband, 2 little girls. The older daughter asked if she could tend the lavender garden. I said yes. I said yes to a lot of things that year. To opportunities, to rest, to understanding I was worth more than I'd been told. My mother didn't give me money. She gave me permission to believe I deserved it. I've thought about why Max became who he is. Not to excuse him, there's no excuse. But to understand. My brother grew up being told he was special simply because he was born male. He didn't have to prove anything. The world was his by default. So he never developed empathy, never learned to earn what he had, never recognized that other people's needs mattered. Psychologists call it entitlement. It's not born, it's taught. And once it's there, it's almost impossible to unlearn because admitting you're not special means admitting your whole identity was a lie. Max isn't a monster. He's a product of a system that told him he was worth more than he was. I don't know if he'll ever change. I hope he does. But his change isn't my responsibility. My responsibility is to myself. To live the life Mom wanted for me. To set boundaries that protect my peace. To remember that walking away from toxic people isn't cruelty, it's survival. If you've been told you're not enough by family, by partners, by anyone who should have loved you, they were wrong. You were always enough. Sometimes the people who love us protect us in ways we don't see. And sometimes we have to become our own protectors. That's what I learned from my mother. Thanks for listening, and if this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to comment and subscribe for more stories about family, justice, and the quiet courage it takes to stand up for yourself. The greatest gift a mother can give is not inheritance, it's the strength to know you deserved it all along.